Hey everybody, this is Steve with Keep 'em Rollin', and we have kind of a surprise recent finds video for you today. So I'm going to keep this intro as short as possible. I have a little bit of channel business to cover. So number one is a thank you to all of you who continue to join me on this journey of military collecting. And for those of you who are brand new to the channel, welcome. I appreciate you coming along for the ride. If you're someone who's viewing this kind of for the first time and you like your content, if you're someone who's viewing this for the first time and you like the content, please subscribe if you feel like it. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers so we can hopefully unlock some YouTube features that will allow us to do some pretty cool things with the channel. So next on the channel business, the show of shows video is done. I'm just waiting a little bit longer. There was a lot of footage this year from the show of shows, and I didn't want mine to get lost in kind of that noise, if you will. So I'm waiting a little bit longer before I release it, but keep looking, it's coming. And that brings me to number three, and that is a show here that is coming up. If you are in the Grand Rapids area next week, which is Saturday, April 2nd, Grand Rapids is about 45 minutes north of Kalamazoo in southwest Michigan, right off of US 131. There's a show there. It is at the Knights of Columbus Hall, 5830 Clyde Park Avenue Southwest. That's in Wyoming, Michigan, which is literally next door to Grand Rapids. And this show is super easy to get to. It's 131. You get off the highway, you turn left again, and then you turn left into the parking lot. So it's super easy to get to. It runs, as I said, Saturday, April 2nd from 9 until 3. And it's not the show of shows, obviously. It's a small show, but it's a mighty show, and I have found great things there. In fact, I will have a couple of tables there this year. I'll be selling some things, so stop by. Maybe we can work out a deal. If you mention that you saw me on YouTube, I'll see what kind of discount I can work out for you. So that is enough of channel business. This find that I'm going to show you, it's an interesting one. It's something that kind of came out of the woodwork, if you will. A gentleman who is a longtime collector, and he basically does not collect military, but he gets a lot of military items with the other items that he purchases. So they just end up going into boxes until he decides what to do with them, and I got a chance to look through and pick some things out. So let's get on to the recent finds video. All right, everybody, here is the haul. And once again, I did not expect this. The gentleman who had all of these items, basically, he's a collector, but he doesn't collect militaria. So all of the stuff that you see here was acquired by him because it came with other items. So in other words, he buys a box of postcards and there's military items in the box of postcards, but you're getting everything. So he would separate the postcards out that he wanted, and then he would create bins in his basement that contained things like toys or military items, etc. And he would just deposit the items in there. So these are the military items that I pulled out. Now, I will say this, I left about 99% of the paper items there. I just can't collect paper items anymore. They take up a lot of space. They're cool, but they're not easy to display, so I have to be very picky about what I pick up as far as paper goes. So I left most of that there. So it kind of gives you an idea of the sheer volume that he had. So let's go through. I'm going to be kind of quick on this just because of the amount of items that are here, and then I'll give you a breakdown of pricing at the end. So to start with, right here, we have this book, and this book was in the military bin. Caught my eye just because it looks old. And when I opened it up, it did not disappoint. What you have here is you have a biography of American military and naval heroes of the Revolutionary and late wars. And then look at the publication date, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that is 1817. I mean, this book was published only 5 years after the War of 1812 and only about 41 years after 1776. To think about who held this book and who read it throughout its lifetime. And then to also think about the fact that when this book was published, my state wasn't even a state. It was just a territory at that time. It's just amazing. So I pulled the book out. I said, how much? And his comment was, ooh, that's a really nice book. Put it in a pile. We'll create a pile, and then I'll give you a price at the end. So into the pile it went. Now, as far as creating piles go, it can be a really good thing to kind of do a bulk purchase, if you will, but it also can be a problem because if at the end the person gives you a price that's a little higher than you want to pay, it's hard to say which item to pull out, to bring the price down to where you want it to be. So I kind of pressed him on it again and said, well, you say it's a nice book. How much do you want for it? And he's like, nope, just put it in the pile. So I started a pile. Now, these two items here were next. And these two items I picked out just because they called to me, and I have to be careful once again when buying paper and photographs and such. What we have here is we have two photo postcards. And what a photo postcard is, it's an actual postcard. These were popular from around 1900 up through 1940-ish, then into the 40s. This one right here is from the World War I period, and it's a U.S. sailor, but it was just the haunting look of his face that called to me with this postcard. So this went into the pile, as did this one right here. This is also a photo postcard, and this one's mounted in a frame. I like the frame because it had the good luck swastika on the back. Prior to Hitler taking the swastika and turning it into his personal emblem, the swastika was kind of one of those universal symbols of good luck, etc., etc. So we have the good luck emblem on here, but we have a nice World War I chief petty officer. So I like that. Now, as far as photo postcards go, if you have these in your collection, there is an easy way to date these. If you look at this stamp box on the back here, you can look this up via a couple of sites online. If you put in dating postcard stamp boxes, they'll come up, and you simply match it to their kind of database, if you will, and it will give you a respective date. So this one was used from about 1910 through about 1930, which puts it right into that World War I era, if you will. Now, the paperwork, once again, trying not to buy it, but I found two items that I just couldn't live without. This one right here is a really cool certificate to a surgeon. You can see it's Captain Alfred E. Holland, and he was part of the Medical Corps Michigan National Guard. This one's dated 1924. And I like things like this from my state simply because our National Guard at that time was very small. It's between the wars. So to find things like that, it's not that easy to do. So when I saw that, I'm like, that's pretty cool. How much? He was like, put it in the pile. And after that, I stopped asking him how much. I just put it in the pile. Now, this piece of paper right here, it's kind of a collection. We have a telegram and a news clipping, and that's the gentleman right there in the middle. And then we have this right here. These are his orders to report. And I believe these are from August of 1941. Yep, right there, August 1941. He was an officer. And then the cool thing is this telegram right here. This telegram is from December 29th, 1941. You can see it right up there. And it basically says, report back to company at once. Leave has been canceled. Or I'm sorry, leave has been reduced to 7 days. So this telegram was when they were recalling all National Guard troops, etc., because of the attack on Pearl Harbor. So I thought that was really cool. Into the pile. Now, the flag is kind of funny because before I met with this gentleman, my wife and I had had a discussion about collecting, and my wife said, please, no more flags. Just, you've got a lot of flags, just no more flags. And I said, I promise I won't buy any more flags. And then, of course, I bought a flag. Now, I bought this flag because I do not have any that have inscriptions. This is a 48-star flag, and the 48-star flag has become synonymous of World War II, or synonymous with World War II. The thing is, the 48-star flag was used from pre-World War I all the way up until 1959. So there are ways of dating it, looking at the sewing techniques, the printing techniques, and the like, but sometimes they're ambiguous, where that technique was used from 1938 to 1949, etc., etc. So to find a flag that actually has a true date on it, and this one's actually pre-World War I, it's dated May, I believe it's 11th, 1941, so a few months before Pearl Harbor. That's pretty cool. The flag isn't in the greatest condition. There is some mothing to it, but nothing that would cause me to, not want it. And then what I like on here is it was presented to the Sunset Temple, number 82. It and with the date, et cetera, et cetera. And I was able to research the Sunset Temple. And the Sunset Temple was actually located in San Diego, California. And it was a department store at first, and then in 1933 it was converted over to an Elks Temple, and today it's a high-end wedding venue. So it's still there, the Art Deco building and the like, and it was just neat to, you know, have kind of some history on who used this flag. So, and you can probably guess into the pile it went. Now these two items, I don't deal in toys a whole lot, but I love the graphics on these. Big League Baseball and All-Star Basketball. How American can you get right here? The games are very simple. The baseball game, it's all cardboard. You have basically a cardboard field, and you use pegs and dice to play the game, to move players around bases and so forth and so on. The basketball game is a little more complicated. You have a cardboard backdrop with a cardboard hoop, and then you have some rubber basketballs that you use a metal kind of spring thing to try and shoot them through the basket. I didn't know really the history about these. I just really like the graphics. I figured probably 1950s, very early, or maybe early or later part of the 1940s. And I put them in the pile. Well, I did some research on them and found out they're actually from 1937. And I guess when you look at the uniforms and kind of they do have that 30s, 40s look, but these are pre-World War II. So they're going to display nice in my war room, if you will. Coming down here to a few small things, we just have a snapshot of two soldiers standing by their tent ready for inspection. I try to buy anything like this because I like to see how field equipment was used, how it was displayed, how they camped. So any picture like that, I will grab. I grabbed this little can opener here, and this one's most likely post-World War II. Generally, the ones that are World War II, this bar here, this kind of raised ridge goes all the way across. This one, it doesn't, but I've never seen one with a curve like that, kind of like a smile. So that went into the pile. We have this really cool victory bond and savings certificates, kind of like a suggestion to buy one. But I love this because look at the graphics. By burning books, they hope to kill freedom of thought. Gestapo headquarters, and you see the brown shirts there burning books. So I just, the graphics on that was so cool. So that went into the pile. Moving down to some of the German items, and he didn't have many, basically these two. We have an armband for the RAD, and it's in rough shape. Unfortunately, you know, it's been stained. You can see the bullion work is all coming apart. The emblem is in pretty good shape, but everything else is just not holding together. I mean, it is a true armband. I asked him how much, and once again, you know, I figured German items might be a little different. He's like, nope, put it in the pile. So into the pile. As far as collectability on these, it's all about condition. The true German collector, they want things that are minty, that are in really good shape. This one would not fit that bill by any stretch of the imagination. But the way I look at it is that this item was utilized during World War II. It survived the war and all the destruction that World War II brought on to Germany. It was probably picked up by a veteran and brought back here, so it survived the trip back here, and then it has survived from that point to now. So, yeah, would I like to see it in better condition? Sure, but the story this thing could tell, you know, it shows its history. So, you know, it went into the pile. He also had these images here of a German general. And I like this one's kind of his formal pose right here. And then this one right here is more of a casual pose with his dog. So, into the pile. I've tried looking him up to see if I could find him, but so far, no luck. Now, as far as blades and such, he had these two items. First of all, we just have a nice World War II machete. This is exactly like the one that I showed in a previous video that is part of a grouping that I own. So now I have two of them. It's got a True Temper blade, 1945 dated. There is no date on the scabbard, unfortunately, but still just a nice, honest World War II machete with the green handle, OD green. And then we have this really nice Enfield bayonet, World War I. This one does have, I don't know if I can get in here and see, the markings on it are really obscure, but it is marked. It's got the crown and that. The blade is in decent shape. The only thing that's unfortunate about this is, as you see here, it's missing the wooden grips. I don't know what happened, but you know, you can buy replacement grips, so I'm right now looking for a set of replacement grips and the screw to hold them, the screw that holds them in place. Now, what drew me to this was the scabbard, because the scabbard on this is in absolutely exquisite condition, and oftentimes this leather is cracked and broken and falling apart. So to find one that's just in exceptional condition, you know, is pretty cool. These two items I did inquire on the price, once again because of what they are, and he just said put them in the pile. So you can see my pile had gotten quite big by this point. And that brings us to the final item, and that's this grouping right here, all belonging to one sailor. And what is so cool is it's virtually complete. If we had his socks and shoes, we would have a complete, and well, it's missing the neckerchief and t-shirt, but it is almost complete. So what do we have here? Well, this is the gentleman right here in his white uniform. And we have two rolled yard-long images of him at Great Lakes Naval Academy. He actually went in pre-World War II. He went in 1940. And as we come down here, we have a series of images of him. So this is an image of him at Great Lakes. And then we have an image of him, and I believe it's his brother right there. And then we have a couple of other images of him. And then what's really nice is we have his discharge certificate. Even though it's a photostat copy that he had gotten from the, I believe, county clerk or city clerk's office, it's still a photostat of the original item, and it gives an idea of everything that he did, the ships that he was on, the ribbons that he was awarded, and the like. So to have that is just brilliant. Now, as far as the uniform goes, we've got the Donald Duck or flat cap here. And we've got the jumper, and the jumper is actually a custom-made jumper. It's not the standard issue jumper. And you can see in here we've got some of the artwork that has been done inside of this. There is no tag on this jumper because it is custom, and the material is a much different material. It's a very, I can't even describe the feeling. It's not the coarse wool. It's a very fine wool, if you will. We have one ribbon, and we have the discharge emblem there. We have his rank and rate here. And then we have his service stripe. He was in pretty much for the duration. So almost 6 years, but not quite enough to get 2 stripes. So he only got 1 for 3 years. The trousers that go with this are matching, and they're of the same material. There is sewing inside the trousers. They're all named to him, so it's all ID'd. We have this little item that was in the pocket, and this little item right here is a cigar snip. So you put your cigar in there and then snip off the end, so that goes with it. We have his pea coat right here. We have the white cap, and then we also have the in-service flag right here with one star, a nice in-service flag. And then finally down here we have another picture. This time I believe it is him in the pea coat with his sister. So just a fantastic grouping, all attributed to one sailor that served in World War II. I like finding things like this because they're getting further and few and further between. They're getting harder to find, let's just say it that way. It's been a long day. It's Sunday afternoon. I'm very relaxed right now, you know. Now, as far as pricing goes, so everything went into the pile, and he told me to go look around for a while he kind of added things up in his head, and he'd get back to me. And so I spent about 20 minutes just kind of looking at his collection. And then he told me he had come up with a price, and he was pretty firm on the price. He wasn't, going to negotiate. And he wanted $90. And I kind of looked at him and I said, well, $90 for like the bayonet, right? And he goes, no, I want $90 for everything here. That will make me happy. And I questioned him on it, of like, are you sure you want 90? And he was like, yep, $90. And basically his justification was that he's ready to move on. If I don't buy these items, they're going to have to go through a garage/moving sale. And on top of that, he really doesn't have anything in them because he acquired them with other items, with the focus being those other items. So $90, ladies and gentlemen, that comes out to, if you count this as one entire thing and don't break it out and just say that's one, it comes out to about $5.50 an item. So $5.50, $5.50, $5.50 for the whole grouping, et cetera, et cetera. I couldn't believe it. And I don't show you this or talk about it to boast or brag. I do this because stuff is still out there. I can't buy it all, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have the space for it all. And there's stuff in your towns like this. There's people who have items like this and are willing to deal with you. It's just a matter of kind of getting the feelers out there, as I talked about in the intro, and, hooking up with these people, because these things do exist. It does happen. And I want to hear your stories. I love finding things like this, but it's also a joy for me to hear about you having this experience. Okay. It's just as fun for me. So, well, that brings me to the conclusion of this recent find video. And as I mentioned in the intro, be looking for the video on the show coming up, and be looking for the video on the show of shows. Once again, I cannot stress, I have not put it out, not because I don't want to. I just felt I'm going to let things kind of die down. And when people are now kind of tired of what they've seen and they're looking for some new footage of the show of shows, bam, I hit them with mine. And it gives people kind of a fresh thing to look at. So that's why I'm waiting. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. As always, this is Steve reminding all of you to keep them rolling.